Hello, everybody. Mm, as Ankita has already described what I do and what my areas of expertise are, let's begin with the word depression. All of us are aware that this word depression or the words like anxiety, stress, are very commonly used these days. A teenager kid actually uses this word so frequently that the person writes songs on depression and getting awards for it actually. Also, you'll hear these words used by very old age people like 70 years old saying that we are not able to manage the stress of the current life. Uh, so, uh, Words like depression, anxiety, stress are actually not new to any of us now. We see them, we hear them all the time around us. Uh, th- let's just keep the underlying cause aside for some time and understand that in the current situation, which is the pandemic situation we all are going through, is it real? You all of may be wondering, no, whatever I'm feeling, is it real or it is just, the mind is playing the games? So let's just first understand that it is very much real and it's okay to feel that way. Now, once we understand it, let's begin with understanding what is pandemic. We are hearing this word pandemic all the time. We are hearing it in news. We are hearing it in articles, in forwards of WhatsApp, everywhere. So, what is a pandemic? The definition of pandemic is actually an event or an incident which is occurring over a wide geographic area and it's affecting exceptionally high population. Okay, that's the definition of pandemic. We all are seeing that most of the continents are affected by corona. Also, most of the first world countries, what we call them, or the advanced countries that we call them in the world, are affected by this virus. So when this is happening, whatever we are feeling is absolutely normal because we are actually on a daily basis, we all are monitoring the affected count and the death count, and most of us are doing it. And it's very natural that we feel the panic. Now, uh, before we actually go into mental health and how to deal with it, how to manage the current situation, let's first understand the definition of health. Okay, there is a very proper word by word definition put by who? World Health Organization. So what they say is health is a state of physical, emotional, and social well-being, and not just absence of any disease or infirmity. Okay, so what it says is whatever your physical, mental, and social well-being tells you is your health. It can be without the absence of any disease. To give you an example of this, if I was able to climb a four-floor building by staircase without getting tired, maybe at one go without stopping, not even at once. Okay, I was able to do that 2 months back. And today, if you ask me if I'm not able to do that without taking a single break, it clearly shows there is some health issue I may have. It may be an alarm or an indication that I need to check something. Okay, let's understand this again that I was able to do some physical activity without getting tired 2 months back, and I'm not able to do it today. That clearly shows that it's an indication of something may be wrong with me. Similarly, when it comes to mental health, if I was able to do n number of tasks, I was able to manage and complete n number of tasks in a day with full satisfaction, full energy, and I was able to complete and be happy at the end of the day. If I was able to do that 2 months back, 4 months back, and if today, out of those n tasks, I'm not able to complete a few, or I'm getting fatigued any time of the day, let's just take this an alarm. It's an alarm. It's an indication that you may have to take a pause and check for your mental health. Okay. Now, this is just an indication or just primary tests I'm telling you. We'll go into detail like how we can identify and how we actually check that I need to take a pause and see a professional. We'll come to that later. But let's just understand this concept of why mental health, where it raises an alarm for you. So if I was able to do see those end tasks and now I'm not able to complete them, let's just take a pause and check. The next thing we'll talk about is uh, I'll touch upon few mental health issues that we see across. Uh, People have studied mental health. Okay, there has been a study for like a number of years, and uh, the mental health issues have been categorized in four major types. First is behavioral issues, then there are emotional issues, then we classify them as academic or professional. We know as per the age group, we categorize them as for kids, we say there may be academic issues where the symptoms are similar, whereas for elders, it is professional issues. And the very important last category is adjustment issues. So most of the mental health issues are categorized into all these four categories. Let's touch upon these issues one by one. So we will understand that if I'm having some issue or any of my friends, colleagues are actually facing some challenges dealing with the day-to-day activities, do I need to worry? Do I need to seek help or do I need to raise a hand for help? Okay. So the first type of issues I talked about is the behavioral issues. Some people have the habit of hitting others. You might have seen, like when they are not able to manage a situation, they actually hit somebody, or they bite somebody, or they self harm. So these are all kind of issues we categorize as behavioral issues. Now these days, binge watching something without having a control also falls under this category. Like if I'm not able to manage a stress, I'll open a web series and I'll just binge watch 5 seasons of it. So these are behavioral issues. Now most of the times what happens is, though we see them as behavioral issues, the underlying issue, when we see it or appear it as a behavioral issue, the underlying primary issue could be an emotional issue, and the trigger could be in behavior. So let's understand what are the emotional issues. So emotional issues is uh, getting anxious most of the times, or having major phobias, and these phobias and anxieties could be the issues that were not dealt at a very young age. So the root causes could be there. So those are emotional issues. Or some people just you know they are fearful all the time or most of the times. They are skeptical about doing anything new or taking challenges because they have some emotional issues. So far we've seen two types of issues. One is behavioral, the other one is emotional issues. The third category is the academic issues or professional issues that we call. So we see in kids especially, they don't complete their assignments on time, or they don't want to go to school, or they make mistakes, like there are 5 mistakes on a page. Similarly, with professionals, it could be I don't feel like going to office, or every day is a challenge for me, or whenever I'm in the meeting, I'm not able to pay attention. Similarly, with kids, it could be lack of attention in the class. So these are all we consider as the professional issues. And the next category, which is a very important category, the adjustment issues, it's you may have come across people or your friends or some colleagues who always have issues along getting along with somebody. Uh, they hardly have any friends. They are angry all the time. They are always finding faults in others' behaviors. Um, and they're angry with people for no reason, no specific reason. So those are some of the adjustment issues that I'm not able to get along with anybody. And there are, I mean, if you consciously pay attention to people nowadays, it is happening to all of us, most of us actually, because the reasons will come in some time. Any questions so far? I mean, are we clear on the types of mental health issues or the categories we have identified? I'll wait for a few seconds here. If you have any questions, you can put it in the chat. Yeah. So the next thing we will see is how do I identify the issue? Okay. So I'm leading my life. I think I'm doing great. And I think I'm able to manage everything fine. But still, there are some incidences. I think it's okay. I'm able to manage. It happens to most of us. But if any of your friends, you or colleagues or anybody around you, if they are facing any challenges or issues, how do we identify it? So there are some guidelines to it. In many of sciences, like people who have come from science backgrounds here, will definitely be able to relate to this. There are three factors. First, frequency. Second, intensity. And third, duration. Okay. So in most of our sciences, basically physics, mostly it is used. Like if a problem persists, how do we identify it? Let's go to these three parameters one by one. So let's take the frequency parameter. Now, as I said earlier, I am not able to feel like getting up in the morning. Okay. So is it just for today? Okay, if it is just for a day, it's perfectly all right. You can always say, yeah, it's okay, I don't feel like getting up, and you'll move on with the day. But if it is happening frequently, it is happening once a week, maybe once in 2 weeks, maybe in some cases it's every day. No, every day I don't feel like getting up from the bed. Or somebody like, I don't feel like going to office. Yeah, once in a while I can get bored and I don't feel like going to office, I can just go apply for a leave. But if this issue persists for a longer time, a longer like frequency, that's what it matters. Like if in a month, 5 times you are taking leaves because you don't feel like going to office, it's an alarm. It's it's like it's a situation where you need to take a pause. Okay. The next parameter is the intensity. Okay, I'm angry today. I'm angry and I shouted. Okay, it's fine. Is getting angry wrong? Each one of us can get angry, and being angry or being showing the anger is absolutely a natural emotion. But if I get angry and I throw something on the other person, or in one of my leadership trainings, actually, one person had talked about showing his anger by throwing a mobile on the wall. And yeah, and he was actually regretting breaking that mobile, and which clearly shows that the intensity of his anger was not normal. It was not within his control. He was just not able to control his emotions in a way. He did not understand what he was behaving. So he had lost the control at that moment. And that's where the intensity matters. I'm angry with my kid because he's not completed the homework. Again, if I scold him once, is it okay? Yes, it is okay because I want him to study. But then if I hit him or I beat him, that he starts, he gets some major injury, there is an issue here. We have to take a pause here and think whether this kind of intensity are we able to manage. No. If the answer is no, take a pause. This clearly requires some attention and maybe eventually a professional help. The third parameter, which is one of the very important parameter, is duration. Like for how long? Ask this question to you. I'm getting angry like this for how long? If it has always been there since my childhood, I definitely need to see somebody, some help. My first example that I talked about in frequency, like if I'm not able to get out of the bed every morning, if it is happening for more than 2 months, I need to think about. I need to really take a pause and look into this problem very seriously. So these three parameters, if we apply to any of our issues, the problems that are like caused by our behavior and troubling us, if we apply these three conditions, and if the answer of it, any of it is yes, take a pause and see the professional help. That's a genuine request here. I will talk about the tools and techniques in the course of the session. Uh, but if the intensity is high, or the duration has been more than say a year or so, or the frequency is say every after 2 weeks I'm getting these issues, I need to see uh, somebody. I need to see a professional help. Yeah. So intensity, frequency, and duration. Uh, are we clear so far? Any questions related to these parameters, or do you want me to explain more, or do you want any more examples around it? Okay. So next thing I will talk about, which is why are we getting panic currently? In this pandemic situation, what is really changed that is making all of us so anxious or stressful? For that, let's just understand and take a step back and focus on or try to remember how was our routine before Corona hit our lives. Just try to remember where we were before Corona came into our lives. Uh, so we all were actually running on an autopilot mode, which we most of the times are running. We have our daily, weekly, yearly schedules. We have our vacations planned, we have our weekends planned, and we all of us had some specific schedule, and we all were running on an autopilot mode. If we all remember, and this autopilot mode was running for a very long time. Now, all of a sudden, these activities are suspended. If we see, our routines have been, no, they have gone for haywire. We don't have any routines. We don't step out of the house, and we all are out of our comfort zones. Yeah, and along with this autopilot mode breaking, we are actually dealing with a lot of floating information, forwards, texts, news about Corona, and it's actually creating so much of chaos, and it is affecting us so in a way that our primitive brain, which is also called as amygdala, is getting affected by it. Now, what is amygdala or the primitive brain? It's actually the part of or the brain system which is responsible for our fight and flight responses, which is actually this is triggered when we are in trouble or when we are in like no we are not able to, basically this is a brain part of brain which gets activated when we need emotional support. Now what has happened in current situation is that amygdala has taken over and it's taken the driver's seat and it is triggering lot of false positives and which are making us more cautious, and it is triggering some kind of system in the brain which is making us believe in the rumors. Now, because of this lockdown, what has happened is, along with this false information, amygdala has taken over. The whole thing has caused a lot of stress, and it is creating a lot of anxiety in all of us. Now, here we have to take a pause and understand the tools and techniques that can help us to deal with the current situation. Now we have seen that how to identify the problems if already existing. We have seen how to classify them. Now we'll see how to deal with them. Because of Corona, the gravity of these issues have already been one notch above. It is actually, if you didn't have any problems earlier, but it may happen that you may face some kind of minor anxieties or stress during this time. There are a few tools and techniques I'll be talking about in the coming session. So let's understand what is the secondary brain system. What is a secondary brain system? Okay, there is a comment from Annapurna here, and which is a very right word she's used here. It's called as hijacking of amygdala. So whenever we see, for imagine if you see you get an encounter with a lion or tiger, it's like all your fight and flight responses get activated, and that's where our amygdala is hijacked. Yeah, so we'll go to the secondary brain system. So brain has multiple parts. Okay, the one which I talked about is primary brain system, which is amygdala. Now let's talk about the secondary brain system, which is called as cortex. Okay, which is also called as the thinking or rational brain. Now, during this emergency situations, when the amygdala is getting hijacked every now and then with the information flooded, the secondary brain system, which was running our routine life, which was giving the rational responses, which was actually running, consuming some part of its day, now has to overwork during this situation because it has to give rational responses all the time. And that's where most of us, though we are actually not working as much as we should be, like what we used to work, we still feel fatigued, we still feel drained, we are feeling tired because our secondary brain system needs to overwork. Now, the secondary brain system, which is also called as rational brain system, we'll talk about it more because I'm going to discuss a very important tool here, which is called as REBT. I'm writing it here. It's called as REBT. The long form of it is rational emotive behavior therapy. Okay, so REBT, that's what I will actually refer to it now onwards. It's rational emotive behavior therapy. I'll touch upon these words quickly, but before that, I'll just tell some history like quickly, just a couple of sentences. REBT is a therapy designed and invented by a psychologist, an American psychologist called Albert Ellis. Uh, REBT is supposed to be the most influential, one of the most influential therapies in the world. And also, Albert Ellis is supposed to be one of the most influential psychologists across the world. REBT is very widely used these days because it clearly, the name itself will tell you that it deals with the emotional and behavioral problems. So it gives you some techniques how to deal with your emotional and behavior problems and how to deal with them rationally. That's very important. How to think about these emotional problems and behavioral issues considering your thinking brain active. Because whenever our responses to any emotional problems or behavioral problems are, most of the times these responses are actually very much, they come from the primitive brain. So that's where this theory is very important because it gives you it actually guides you that how you should respond to these problems using your rational brain, the secondary brain system. Now for this, now I'll talk about three major parameters of REBT, okay, which is also called as A, B, and C. A, B, and C. So what are these A, B, and C? Understand that now. A is the adversity or the activating event. I'm writing it in the comments also.
Yeah, Meghna, looks like you need to type it on everyone. I'm not sure. I'm not able to see that.
Oh, is it? Okay, just a sec.
To everyone,
Uh,
so type there.
yeah. So A is the adversity, which is also activating event. Okay. B is belief system and C is the consequences. Now I'll ask all of you to think of one incident in your life where maybe you were hurt or you were like you felt dejected or there was some trauma or you had some kind of uneasiness. So think of one incident like that. And in the meantime, if you have a pen and paper, try and draw three columns on a page, A, B, and C. Like the first column is A, second B, and third C. So try and put these three columns as A, B, C. In the first column, leave blank, second leave blank. In the third column, try and write an incident where you had felt uneasy or you were unhappy, you were felt hurt or dejected, or there was some rejection. Okay, any one incident. Now, once it is done, write in the first column what was the event prior that uneasiness. What had happened before that uneasiness? So I'll give an example of myself here. Uh, I passed out from a state board school and I got into college for 11th. The college was a very a little high-end college, and the peers I had come from Central Board School and international school that time, whatever one or two we had across district. And uh, first couple of months, I had felt a lot of uneasiness and I was not comfortable going to college. So that's the C for me, that I felt uncomfortable going to college. Okay. And the activating event, the A here, would be I didn't have friends. There was no one talking to me. Okay. I hope I'm clear here. Should I move on or should I wait here? Okay, so in this, now let's come to the B part, which is very important in this theory because B is the belief system. The perceptions that we are brought up with, there are some beliefs that we have been cultivated. We read books, we see movies, we have seen people around us, and that's where our beliefs are actually getting formed since our childhood. And in my case, my belief was that I come from state board, and that's where people are looking down upon me and they are not talking to me. Okay. And I was feeling inferior. That was my belief. That's the B, which was actually I was carrying with me. Now, here somebody may think that A was actually triggering C, the event, activating event, was actually triggering the consequences. Like I came from state board school, so I was not having any friends. But if you see and look at this situation, it was because I was carrying this belief of inferiority because I come from state board school was actually causing the scene. And that was actually triggering the thought that I should not take an initiative and talk to my friends. Now, when I realized this after 2 months or so of struggle of 2 months actually of not having any friends, I decided and challenged my belief, and I actually started talking to a few of my friends on my own, and that's where things started changing. So when I worked on this B, the belief I had that I was inferior to others because I come from state board school actually was a game changer. Yeah. So the point here is, though we all feel the consequences or the event that is troubling me is an outcome of A, which is the whatever has happened prior to it, but it is actually the belief system behind that process. In this process, whatever is happening is actually triggering the consequences. Now, why I'm talking about it right now is this pandemic situation that we are in today. The consequences are we are feeling little stressful. Some of us are feeling very much stressful. They are feeling anxious. Now the event is Corona. We all know. Okay. The adversity is Corona. The consequences are we feeling panic. Why it is caused? Because we are believing that there is no vaccine for it. We are believing that there is no cure for it, and that is causing the C. Whereas if we actually focus on the parameters which are within our control, like if I have to take care of washing my hands, if I step out of for some emergency work, come home, I have to wash my clothes, wash my hands, take precautions. If I'm able to manage this, or if I'm able to focus on the parameters which are within my control, the consequences, which is feeling anxious, can be reduced, can be managed. Yeah. So, homework for all of you, make a chart of A, B, C and tap your beliefs because that is very important in this period. We may be feeling anxious at home, or maybe feeling anxiety with our relatives, friends, colleagues. Yeah. So, take a pause and think about it. Are we clear on ABC? Should I move on? Any questions? Okay, so the next thing I'll talk about is the 8 dimensions of personality. Okay, so when I say I'm leading a peaceful and contented life, there are 8 parameters which one should measure himself or herself. The first one is health. Okay, do you want me to go one by one that I'll talk about the parameter and explain and then we'll go ahead, or do you want me to list all 8 first and then come to each of them? Okay, So I think I'll go one by one here. The first parameter is health. We all know how important health is. So here, health means mental and physical health both. Uh, Now, during this pandemic time, if you want to focus on the blessings in disguise, we all have some extra time. We are saving on our commute time to office. We are saving on many things. Like we used to have our weekends parties or get-togethers planned. Now we don't have them planned. So we some of like most of us have some bandwidth, some time bandwidth, which we can dedicate to some of these parameters I'll talk about. So health. Uh, During this time, try and focus on practicing some self-care. You can actually do yoga and meditation. Dedicate some Okay, I'll quickly touch upon each of them. Now, some of them are again saying that let's go by, list them all of them first, and then we'll. So maybe I'll list all of them first, and or I'll just stick to whatever I will see. So let's focus on self-care. Practice exercises. Dedicate, maybe half an hour of a day to exercise, do floor exercises because you can't step out of the house. If you have at least 20 meters of space in your house to do jogging, running, but try and do 30 minutes of exercises on a daily basis. Uh, Also, when you do yoga and meditation, it helps you to be in the moment and deal with the stress better. It's a proven method. The second parameter is like if I want to measure my life or like the peace, it is family. If I have peace with my family, I'm better placed. So currently, all of us are getting to spend time with family. How to utilize it uh, for your betterment? Spend quality time with your family. If you are three or four members in the house, try and engage in some activities together. Play board games, play carom, have discussions with your kid, watch movies together. So that's very important because you never know. We will not get this kind of uh, good amount of time with family again. It's actually, this is a blessing in disguise that we are getting to spend so much of time with family. The third parameter is career and money. Now we all are feeling that our careers are halted, or there are some of us who are feeling that yeah, we're going to face a lot of monetary setbacks after this situation is over. So instead of worrying about it, if we actually focus it for our future planning, like if some of us are thinking of making a career change, or some of us are planning for a job change. They were planning, and now is the right time to work on their resumes, to work on their skill sets. So use this time for career and plan your monetary things in a better way. Prepare an Excel sheet for it. So whatever this time is giving is in hand, use it in a better way to plan it better. The next parameter is education. Education is something we all have been through and we've come to a stage. But if you are thinking of taking some online courses, do it. It's the time to do it. Some of the applications are offering online courses. They are actually offering it for free if you just do a little research. If you have any plans to do further studies, this is the right time to search it on Google, plan it in a better way. The next parameters is friends and social life. And I'm sure most of us are missing our friends, meeting our friends, missing uh, having coffees with our friends. But I think technology is so advanced and we are so happy to be using it. We all are here. attending this web session using a very useful product Zoom. Similarly, plan family meets on WebEx or Zoom, or there are many tools available in the market, and technology is actually in your favor, in our favor. So plan these friends meet, and uh, if you want to do some uh, like social events, plan it on social media. I've seen a lot of companies actually are planning these social events on Facebook, LinkedIn. So this is a very useful platform. Let's go ahead and do it. I mean, I really thank Shenzhen for arranging this beautiful event of having these webinars under the category of human empowerment. I really thank Murli and Sameer and Ankita. It's a great initiative. So similarly, if you are in the field of education, plan some trainings online. If you are in the field of storytelling, you can do a lot of other things on social media and fill these gaps that we are facing today. The next parameter is spirituality. Okay. Uh, why spirituality? See, I'm not bringing in any religion here, but spirituality is a very important aspect for all of us. If you are able to do yoga and meditation, it'll actually give you peace, and it'll help you being in the moment, and you will be able to manage this stressful situation in a better way. The next parameter is hobbies. um, I'm really inspired by many of us. I know keep scanning through social media. People are exploring their painting skills, their culinary skills, their artistic skills. There are a lot of things which you wanted always to pursue, but were not able to do because there was no time in hand. Probably this is the right time to do it. So engage in some hobby. It could be just once a week. Just dedicate some time for it and pursue it. There are a lot of online again courses available on YouTube, on any many channels. Take help of them and pursue these hobbies. Last but not the least, the last parameter is engaging yourself in some kind of social work. We call it as or CSR activities, or uh, giving back to the society. Again, you will ask me this question: How can I do it by sitting at home? Uh, Fortunately, we have a lot of avenues to do so. I will quickly talk about a part of the counselors group that I'm part of. Uh, a group of counselors based out of Pune, have a group of we have a helpline created where people who are facing anxiety issues because of corona can call, and it's a complimentary service available. So you can call and talk up to 30 minutes, and just vent out whatever you're feeling right now, the stress you're feeling. So it's a very small thing if you say, but it has benefited hundreds of people right now. I mean, each one of us, we're a group of 30 plus counselors, and each one of us are getting good amount of calls every day. So it's a very small act, but it has helped many people. So if you are good at something, if you want to do something for the society, right now is the time. Let's do it. Let's utilize this time for a better cause. Uh, Now, some other, are we clear on these 8 things? Do you want to talk about it more, or uh, anything you want to add to this? There is a question from Nick here. Hi, Nick. Good to see you here. I'm really happy to see you. I'll take this question once I finish with my next part of the session, and then I'll come to this question. Is it okay? Yeah, thanks. Uh, so, There are very important four things here I'm going to talk about, which are, we all will say, what is it? We all know it, but yes, the reiteration is very much required here, and that's what I'm going to do now. Uh, the first and very important thing is positive affirmation. It's very important to give yourself positive affirmations. Why positive affirmation? So basically, positive affirmations are used to reprogram your subconscious mind because it encourages us to believe in certain things otherwise we don't believe. Also, it helps us in attracting health, wealth, peace, happiness, um, and peace of mind, basically. Affirmations are very small positive statements which, if you keep telling yourself, the brain understands it. The brain gets tuned to this. And that's where the brain cells play a very important role. So that's why first thing is giving positive affirmations to yourself very often. Now, when we are actually struggling through these difficult times, and uh, the current situation tells us it's not just Pune, Mumbai, Bangalore, India. It's almost the whole world. We are selling in the same boat, right? Whatever is happening here is happening in the US. It's happening in the Europe. It's happening everywhere in the world. So try and let's be more understanding towards each other. Now, there it there could be a situation where there are four people in the house, and earlier they were not able to even see each other's face. You know, they were just talking to each other for daily routine work. But right now is the time where we really have to be empathetic towards each other and understand each other better. Try and initiate dialogues if required. Try and not speak if required. It's very important in this difficult stage. Now let's focus on what is going well. The third thing is, let's try and shift our focus to what is going well. There's so many things going unwell right now. There are a lot of things that are going unwell around us. But let's try and shift our focus consciously to things that are within our control and they are going well. I know you will ask me that, yeah, theoretically it is possible, then how do we do it practically? It's a very genuine question. But then if you tune your brain or train your brain by telling that, yes, you have to do this. Now, if I ask you a question, like, if we play a national anthem today, will we all not start singing it? Or if you have been trained to stand up for the national anthem, will you not do it? You will do it, right? And that is how we condition our brain, train our brain. So let's train our brain to focus on the things that are going well. Yeah, daily when you read the news, just read it once a day or listen to the news once a day. Because if you keep on listening to it for 5 times a day, you're going to absorb that negative information and it's going to stay on your brain for a longer time. Last thing I'll talk about is being more resilient. Being more resilient is very important here because one or the other day, these difficult times are going to go away. They're going to finish, they're going to end. What after that? Are we going to be ready for that? Are we going to be equipped for that? Yeah. So being resilient here is very important. Now, actually, the statistics or the calls that we get for our helpline, uh, also there are articles floating about it. There are a lot of increase in physical abuse cases and domestic violence cases and child abuse cases happening. There is a drastic increase of these cases around, and it's very, very, very Okay, sure, Sheetal. I'll come back to the example of being resilient. Uh, okay, so we may face, okay, we all are aware that currently the markets are not doing very good, the economic conditions are very good. So there are chances, there are very high chances that we may face an economic slowdown after the pandemic situation is over. Okay. And right now, if you see the condition of India, we have not even reached the plateau. The numbers of corona affected cases are increasing. So we are anticipating that this quarter of the year, we are anyways going to be hit very badly. And it's the situation is similar across the world. I'm sure Nick also would agree to this that the situation in UK is not very different. So we all are going to hit an economic slowdown after this situation is over and we're back to business as usual. We will call it as BAU, but we're not sure whether it is going to be a BAU situation. If we are not better equipped mentally and with our skills to face that situation, we are again going to go back to the black hole. I mean, it's absolutely possible that I come back, in July or August, face the world, and because of economic slowdown, it is affecting me mentally, or I'm not able to manage the stress, or I'm not equipped with those new skills that I was supposed to. I'm going to have a big problem. So try and be resilient during this time. It is actually a blessing that we have. Treat it as a blessing. Use this time to enhance your skills, to brush up your skills, or to learn new skills. Again, here mental health is also very, very, very important. Along with your technical skills and other skills, you have to be mentally strong by the end of this pandemic situation. Yeah, so I was talking about the increase in physical abuse, mental abuse, then child abuse cases, domestic violence cases. Um, if you actually hear any case like that, or come across any situation or any person or anything like that, let me tell you, there are loads of NGOs working for this cause. Please raise your voice to these NGOs. I will be sharing a very like detailed note of these NGO details and contact details with you, so you can reach out to them. Uh, Now, I was going through social media long back, and this one sentence that has stuck to me, and it's like it's with me forever. It says that your first relationship is with your mind and body. The health of all other relationships and all other aspects of life depends on this relationship. So let's understand this, and let's focus on our mental health more, because that's what is going to keep us going during this pandemic situation and after this situation as well. So that's what I wanted to talk about. Now, if you have any other questions, please put it in the chat. I will address Nick's question, which he's already put up.
Yeah, there are one more question from
Yes,
Vasa Pavan also. So maybe you can want to address that as well.
sure. Yeah. Hi, Nick. Yeah, I understand your question, and it's a great question. I think you must have read his question. If not, I'll repeat. What he says is that his team members are actually overworking, and he's concerned about their health. I mean, he doesn't want to stop them from working, but they are actually doing, all the time working, and uh, which is happening. Okay, I had talked about the primitive brain, if you remember, the primary brain, the emotional brain, the amygdala, which actually gets activated when our fight and flight responses take over. So maybe what's happening is There is a fear that I'm sorry, I'm not able to see everybody. Oh, sorry. Yeah. So there may be this fear of losing something because this is a panic situation. The amygdala might have been hijacked, and their fight response is to overwork. It could be the case. There are high chances that it could be a case. Again, I'm making a very generic statement here. It may or may not be applicable, but what looking at just this statement, I'm thinking of this. You maybe we can connect offline also, Nick, and we'll discuss it in more details. But just by looking at it, or by primary thing, what I can think of is it's their fight response. It's the fear of losing something. Maybe no, we all are fearing that the economic slowdown is going to come. So I should not lose my credibility. I should not lose my job, and that is triggering this kind of a behavior. Or um uh, they don't know what to do with that idle brain. If the brain is not working, if it is remaining idle, they don't know how to deal with that, because that may be causing more anxiety. So they are preferring to focus that energy to work. uh, is it clear, or I mean, do you want to ask anything else? Okay, the question from Vasa is also very interesting, and this is very commonly asked question when it comes to REBT. Is it possible to change your belief system like friends, family, love, and any other social elements? It's very much possible, and that's the whole uh, exercise of A, B, C uh, in REBT. So, unless and until you change your belief system, uh, for that, let me just talk few more sentences on belief system. Belief system is something which I was brought up with. The thing I first saw, in Indian culture, I'll give an example of Indian culture here. In our generation, our mothers used to wear saris. Most of our mothers used to wear saris in this part of India, the west part of India and south part of India. So when we grew up a little bit, when we were in college, and we started seeing our aunts who were little younger to us, like our moms, they started wearing the salwar kurta, different attire. And that was like a shock to our belief system, isn't it? Like most of us will be able to relate to this. And we were like, wow, this person is not wearing sari, that's how we change our beliefs. It's a very small example I'm giving, but there is, like, if you consciously work on your beliefs, the belief system can be changed, it can be altered, and it is rather it is the thing that you need to work upon when it comes to REBT. And with friends and family, yeah, I'll give an example of one of my cases here. The person always felt dejection all the time. Okay, a group of in a group, if the person was not invited, or the person sends a message to a friend, and the other person, like A is a person who is sending a WhatsApp message to B. B reads that message and doesn't reply to A. Okay, the first thought A had was, I'm getting rejected. The person B doesn't want to talk to me. He's just avoiding me, because his belief system was he had a very, person A had a very low self image, and because of these thoughts were triggered. Now, when we worked on his belief system, he understood that it is possible that person B could be preoccupied. He could be busy, and he'll call or he'll reply later. And that's where A learned to wait for the responses, because we worked on his belief system of low self image. So it's very much possible to work on your B and alter it so that the consequences or the uneasiness, stress can be altered. Is it clear, or any other thing? Is there a specific time study on changing the belief system? It is again very much person to person. It depends on how one person is open for changes, how one person is flexible to changes. Uh, there are, some people take a couple of months, couple of weeks, or some may take 1 year, complete year to change that. Also, there is a possibility that the first reaction to any incident could be your first belief, but that's where your rational brain needs to think, take a pause, and react. So there is no specific guideline or timelines we can talk about. It is very much person specific.
Right. I think, Meghna, we already started the question answer session. So
Yeah.
if more people have questions, I invite you to please go ahead and put your questions in the chat box. And I think we have a couple of more minutes to answer the questions. I had a question, Meghna.
Yes.
Yeah. So see, what's happening is all of us, like people like us, are kind of in a comfortable environment working from home.
Yes.
Even if it's a little hectic, the
Yes.
situation as compared to a lot of other people is really better for us. And
Yes.
there are a lot of social media content, or even I am very tempted to share what all I'm doing on social media, which is on the happier side, right?
Yes.
But at the same time, I'm personally feeling always some kind of a guilt in my mind, because there are a lot of people who are going through much more difficult times as compared to what we are. So it's a very I don't know, confusing situation. I'm sometimes happy because okay, I'm spending more time with my husband, my family, and all of that, but at the same time there's a feeling of guilt also.
I
So
understand.
how do you kind of manage that thing?
Yeah. So I think most of us again are sailing in the same situation because we are better placed. We may be better placed, and as you rightly said, we have work to do. We have loving people around us. Yes, yes. But there are many of us who are not, who don't have these facilities, who are struggling uh, at a very basic, people who are working on daily wages, for example. So yeah, having this guilt is very natural, and instead of that guilt, if you just change it to feeling bad for those people. Let's not use this as a guilt. No, we are feeling bad for those people, and it's uh, yeah, we will feel bad for it. At the same time, what we have to focus on, the factors, we call it as factors within control and factors outside control.
Correct.
So whenever we have like we try and focus on factors which are not within our control, we tend to get a lot of anxiety, a lot of stress, and the guilt, as you rightly said, because uh, the factors which are within my control, I can focus on and work on that. To give you an example, uh, see, my maids, I had a couple of maids coming to my house, and they don't have job right now, and I don't know how they're managing, or their husbands were on daily wages work, and how they are doing. So we are really not sure of it. But what is within my control here is I can still. Uh, am I audible? Because it's giving me some error message.
No, you're audible.
Okay, yeah, thanks again. So let's focus on the factors within my control here. Can I really go and feed 50,000 people at this time of life? Maybe no, right? And so can I really, is there any uh, need to feel guilty of it? If I can feed 5 people, let me go and do
Yeah.
that. If I can maybe give the salaries of my maids, though they are not coming to my house for work, I can pay them online. And I mean, so my point is, let's help these people whatever we can, whatever is within our control. So the eight parameters that I talked about, the last one which we said, very important, that's social services.
Yeah.
Let's focus on that, so that see, the guilt will never go away. Okay, because these are the things probably we should be, feeling gratitude for it or feeling blessed for it. But instead of carrying the guilt, let's focus on how we can turn it into helping others. I think that will give us more satisfaction.
Right. Right.
So
Yeah.
again, this factors within control and outside control is one thing which we all should always remember, because most of the times we focus on factors which are beyond our control, and that creates a lot of uneasiness.
Right. 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 Thank you, Meghna. That's really helpful.
Thanks, Ankita. Yeah, so there is a question from Gaurav also here.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a very interesting question Gaurav has asked here. So he says that A and B are a couple, and they are brought up not necessarily in the similar belief system, a similar environment. So how to cope with that? So first of all, let me tell you, there is nothing as right or wrong in this world. Okay, it's very much subjective, unless it is something, a big crime, like, somebody is actually killing somebody. Other than that, it may happen that whatever I think is right may be wrong for you, and vice versa. So let's not first uh, get into this argument that who is right and who is wrong. In one of the four parameters I talked about, like understand others better, be empathetic, is what we can do in today's times. We both come from, like, if A and B come from, both come from different belief systems here. Uh, let's accept and appreciate it, because it's definitely possible that two people from different cultures, different backgrounds, different economic socio backgrounds are together, and they have been brought up with their set of values and beliefs, but there is something that has brought both of you together. So let's focus on the common factors first, and then respect and appreciate the other person's belief system instead of going to change that, instead of changing that. Let's first respect that. Let's talk about it, that what could be, altered in that. Let's talk out, because right now is not the time where you can actually go and seek a face-to-face session with a professional help, though online sessions are available and given by many of us. So when you are in that house, during this lockdown period, try and not get into a dispute or an argument. Let's understand each other's beliefs. Let's consciously tell ourselves that, yeah, it is possible that you may come from a different background, and I respect that. Okay, Gaurav is writing something more. Ankita, can you please unmute Gaurav if possible?
I think he's saying his mic is not okay.
Okay, fine. Okay, let me questions or something.
I did unmute Gaurav. If you want to say, Gaurav, you want to say some, you want to ask something?
Okay, I think he's written that his mic is not working. So what he writes is actually that whatever A does, it is not affecting B. And Gaurav, it's possible because B has been conditioned, or he's trained his brain, or maybe not getting affected could be B's coping mechanism with the whole world, and the same mechanism he is using against A. So there is very much a possibility that B has been conditioned with this belief system of not letting anything affect him. To give you a very small example, we are, sometimes we don't hear what is said to us. We don't hear the words, and we jokingly say that we've blocked this frequency. Whereas it is actually our brain has learned to block that frequency of voice. In lectures also, many a times you must have experienced, he that no, the lecturer is talking something and I'm not able to understand it because brain just blocks that frequency, and that could be the case of B. Again, Gaurav, I would like to talk to you offline about it, and we can take this ahead from here.
I think Jayant had a question. Will you please have a few words about senior citizens in the current uh, situation, present
Yes,
situation?
yes. I think that's the challenge everywhere because the children and the senior citizens have been advised not to step out of the house because they are very much immune to catching up, like, for precautions actually. So here, what I would like to answer is if they are not used to staying at home, because many of us are not, they have their routines of going for a morning walk or some physical activity, some household work outside the house, or some of the senior citizens are still working. They are still uh, spending maybe 7 8 hours at office. So it's very difficult for them to cope with the situation. What they can try to do is, again, use this time for their betterment, like how they can be, they should be reading some books which they have kept pending for years. There is social media, there is uh, maybe you can watch some shows on television or other applications like Netflix and Amazon Prime and whatnot. Also, it's actually a very good time to connect with your old friends and family members. Like, I was talking to a friend from the US, and she was telling me uh, earlier when all used to decide a time to call. Uh, each one of them were in different time zone and was not able to come on the same platform because of other commitments. They had some events scheduled outside the house. But now is the time they are able to be on the same page because they just can't step out of the house. So connect with your old mates, connect with your friends online, uh, learn new tools and technologies if possible. So I understand it's a very difficult time for all of us, but if you focus on enhancing your skill sets and the health, mental health and physical health, I think we all will be able to be more resilient by the time this period ends.
Uh, Meghna Soma had a question that whether childhood trauma likely to go away over time, or there might be a certain situation which will trigger those memories in later life as well.
Yes, because trauma is, it's a very interesting question. Uh, Traumas, if not dealt rightly at the right time, can affect a person's personality overall. And it actually, we call it as PTSD. It's post traumatic stress disorder. And many a times, what happens is we think we are over that trauma, but it does trigger from time to time. It does happen. And for traumas, I would really request or recommend to see a professional help because traumas need a longer duration of sessions, uh, longer duration of talks, and yeah, traumas do and will trouble you many a times in life. So unless and until, again, here you have to work on your belief system, which is the BBB. I'll talk about this belief system all the time, almost all the time. But in traumas specifically, it takes a longer time than the normal unpleasant experiences.
Right, right. Okay, Ram is asking, reprogram your subconscious mind. Can you please share some examples?
Yes. So as I was talking about, uh, okay. So one of the friends, uh, she is walked out of her marriage. Okay, for some reason. Uh, so because she has walked out of the marriage, she has got a lot of anxiety. stress because she's dealing with the stress at multiple levels. Earlier, she was dealing the stress at home. Now she's dealing the stress at social life outside her life, house, at job, everywhere. Because the belief system that tells us is you have to be in the marriage and you have to live it. No, yeah, there has to be a happily married life. That's the belief system we all have been brought up with. Okay, so now the person, like the friend who is walked out of the marriage, the first thing that is going to come to her mind every time is, I'm not happily married. I have walked out of a relationship. I have walked out of the marriage. And in a society like ours, where marriage is given an undue importance, uh, yeah, it is going to come to her many a times. Unless she works on her belief system, she keeps telling herself that marriage could be just an event in life. If it works, it's good. If it does not, it's fine. There's still life ahead of her. She is not going to come out of this thing. So that is how she has to reprogram her belief system so that she will be able to lead a normal life in future.
Okay. I think we are done with almost all the questions. Guys, if you want to connect with her personally and maybe clear out your doubts, or if you just want to talk to her, I'm sure she'll be more than happy to connect with you on a one-on-one basis as well. And there was a list that you mentioned, Meghna, that you will share it with us. Please make sure that you share it with us because it will be helpful to all of us, all the list of NGOs and the list of people
Yes.
who are actually helping. Yeah.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah. Guys, thank you so much. I think this session was the longest because, all of us had a lot to kind of understand from the session and go back and do a little homework as well. So I think for that particular reason, thank you so much, Meghna, for taking today's session. Guys, we have an interesting session coming tomorrow also. So the way she mentioned about, engaging in activities and hobbies, which will actually take off your mind from all the bad news and you can focus on something positive. So tomorrow's session is going to be around mandala art. Mandala art is an art form which is known to keep your focus on and your energies in one particular place. So I think all of you can join tomorrow's session. Is going to be at 4 o'clock. Please go and register on the website and confirm your spot for tomorrow's session. And on this note, I want to thank you, Meghna, again for all taking out the time and giving so many insights. Like all of us are thinking that, okay, we have something that we can go think back and still focus on the positive things. So yeah, thank you so much for doing that. Thank you, guys.
Thanks a lot, Ankita. Thank you so much. And thanks
Thank
to
you.
all the participants. Thank you so much.
Thank you.